Tonight, malicious cyber activity opens up. Global Affairs Canada, but what was exposed and who's vulnerable?
If you're looking at it from an intelligence perspective, that is a treasure trove of information.
Was 5 weeks quick enough to find and close the leak? Fear on campus, students and faculty worried about speaking out on the war in Gaza.
I'm afraid for the students who are also afraid.
Bagel blasphemy? A company that makes a spread reshapes a Montreal staple.
There's no hole, it's not a bagel.
This is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. We are tracking a major data security breach at Global Affairs Canada, the federal government department with employees and offices around the world. It is home to all kinds of sensitive information, but someone who shouldn't had access to its internal network for more than a month. Kate McKenna is in Ottawa tonight. So, Kate, this is a big problem for a major department.
Yeah, Global Affairs Canada says some of its systems are offline right now as it investigates this breach. This is the department in charge of diplomatic relations and consular services outside of the country. So this is a big deal, and it's creating a lot of worry. CBC News obtained this internal email sent to staff. It says the government detected malicious cyber activity last week and that many Global Affairs Canada users may have been affected. The attack compromised the system that lets people work remotely. It includes shared drives and personal information.
Of course, we're very much concerned with this.
Sources tell CBC News it's possible secret information was taken.
When it comes to the information that was potentially compromised, if you're looking at emails, calendars, list of contacts, that's if you're looking at it from an intelligence perspective, that is a treasure trove of information.
The government is working to fix the system and answer a big question. Who is behind this breach and why?
Immediately, a country like Russia or China comes to mind. And one of the challenges behind these kinds of data hacks or breaches is you want to be able to identify the perpetrator as quickly as possible. Partly to give you clues about the nature of the hack itself to help you repair the system, but also to decide on what you're going to do about it.
So, Kate, there's an element of familiarity about this because this is not the first time GAC has been hacked.
Yeah, it was also attacked 2 years ago, right before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russia or Russian-backed actors were suspected to be behind it, but it was never confirmed. Canada's intelligence agency has repeatedly warned about the growing threat of state-backed cybercrime, saying Canada needs to protect itself. And experts say Global Affairs is a natural target because it holds a lot of classified and sensitive data.
Absolutely. So at this point, what happens now?
For now, some staff are being asked to come to the office instead of working remotely. But of course, this fits into a broader political picture. This is taking place as the foreign interference inquiry is kicking off. So the issue of foreign meddling is clearly on the top of mind for lawmakers, and it will remain so.
All right, Kate McKenna in Ottawa tonight. We are learning tonight the names of the rest of the members of Canada's 2018 junior hockey team facing sexual assault charges. They are NHLers Dylan Dubé of the Calgary Flames, Cal Foote and Michael McLeod of the New Jersey Devils, and Carter Hart of the Philadelphia Flyers. Confirmation came from their lawyers. Former NHLer Alex Formenton turned himself into police on Sunday. The charges stem from an alleged group sexual assault of a woman in a London, Ontario hotel room nearly 5 years ago. Let's turn overseas now to a dramatic raid captured on security camera. Israeli troops in disguise stormed a West Bank hospital today and killed 3 militants. Chris Brown shows us the scene, and we want to be clear, some of the images are disturbing.
Security camera footage from Jenin's Ibn Sina hospital shows Israeli commandos with automatic weapons disguised as hospital staff and patients. While some stood guard in the hallway, others entered a room and reportedly shot dead, execution-style, 3 Palestinian militants, leaving a bloody scene behind. Even by the violent standards of this conflict, this raid was exceptional for the location where it happened and its brazen nature. One of those killed was Walid Jalamna's son, Mohammed. You might be surprised that a hospital is being raided, but this enemy, this occupier, hasn't left anything for us to be surprised by, he said. Hamas claimed one of the men is a member and the other two were claimed by another militant group, Islamic Jihad. Israel's military said the three were preparing an imminent attack inspired by the acts of October the 7th, but provided no evidence, stating for a long time wanted suspects have been hiding in hospitals and using them as a base for planning terrorist activities and carrying out terror attacks. We asked the hospital's director about the IDF's claims. Was there any evidence of that you saw?
We hear about that, but actually, as I told you, one of them is paralyzed. He is complete bedridden.
Al-Shobaki said the man suffered a spinal injury in October and has been immobilized ever since. While Gaza has been the primary battleground in Israel's war against Hamas, the West Bank has seen intensifying violence. Raids by Israeli forces have destroyed roads and buildings, and almost 370 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military or settlers since October the 7th. This Ramallah-based political analyst says the intensity of the violence is unprecedented.
Most of these victims concentrate in the north of West Bank. These areas is being punished because their role before the war. They were resisting the occupation all the time.
The International Red Cross says it is concerned about the raid. It says under humanitarian law, hospitals and patients must be respected and protected. Chris Brown, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Canada is allocating another $40 million in aid to organizations helping people in Gaza after pausing new funding for the main aid group there, the UN Relief and Works Agency.
This additional $40 million is going to go to the World Food Program, UNICEF, World Health Organization, and the International Committee of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent and other trusted partners.
About $5 million of that funding will go to Canadian NGOs. Canada suspended its support for UNRWA over allegations some staff members played a part in Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. More than a dozen other countries also paused their funding, and the UN is warning it could quickly deepen the crisis in Gaza. But as Katie Simpson explains, in the U.S., some are pushing for that pause to become permanent.
Gaza's children are starving. Food insecurity on the brink of famine, just one aspect of this humanitarian crisis. Fear is intensifying. Civilian life will become harder if UNRWA, the largest aid organization on the ground that provides food, shelter, and medicine, runs out of money. It's a death sentence, says this man. We will die. We will starve in the streets. Canada and the U.S. are among several countries suspending financial support after Israel alleged at least 13 UNRWA employees were involved in the October 7th attacks.
UNRWA is riddled with Hamas members.
UNRWA's largest contributor, the U.S., which provides hundreds of millions of dollars a year, says it will only reconsider after an investigation.
I know that we need to see fundamental changes before we can resume providing funding directly to UNRWA.
But lawmakers were urged to permanently sever ties with the aid agency during a contentious hearing that drew protests on Capitol Hill. Several witnesses presented long-standing complaints about UNRWA's operations, alleging ties to Hamas.
UNRWA is a horror show that is decades in the making, co-produced by the United States taxpayer.
Take the lead in dissolving an organization that is riddled with incitement to hate.
The UN Secretary General called a special meeting to address concerns, urging countries to stand by the agency given UNRWA's reach on the ground.
There's no substitution for the humanitarian role that is played in Gaza. We need to all ramp up, given the totality of needs.
The UN says it has a small window to get donor countries back on board, saying UNRWA will run out of money by the end of February, putting services beyond that time at risk. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Here at home, a new deal between insurer Manulife and Loblaw could change the way some Canadians get prescriptions for complex illnesses. It has some leery of what it could mean for people in remote areas and for independent pharmacies. Nisha Patel explains.
Hiro Mase prides himself on running an independent pharmacy.
It's the embodiment of what I want healthcare to be. I would like it to be more personalized.
He worries new agreements in the pharmacare sector will erode those standards.
We're slowly moving towards the American model, where it's all going to be just high-volume pill factories.
Patients who are insured by Manulife and need specialty drugs used to be able to get them from either Bayshore Healthcare or Loblaw-owned pharmacies. For many now, Loblaw is their only option. Manulife says specialty drugs represent less than 1% of prescription claims in Canada. They're expensive and are used to treat illnesses like cancer, osteoporosis, and hepatitis C.
Manulife has identified that they're basically able to get a better deal by just going to a single provider.
That keeps costs down for the insurer, though it raises concerns about choice for patients who live in rural or remote areas.
They may go to their pharmacy that they regularly go to and find out that they have to switch pharmacies or go somewhere else.
Manulife says the move will offer greater convenience. Loblaw says patients shouldn't notice a difference, and they can pick up prescriptions or have them delivered to their home. Arrangements like these that offer a preferred pharmacy have become more common in Canada, though rules ban them in Quebec. Some experts suggest they limit competition if smaller pharmacies feel squeezed.
If they're left out of being able to sign these larger deals, how does this affect their business model? And how does it make it viable for them to remain open?
You're going to have probably two big players in the pharmacy field, okay? And they're going to control the entire market, and then they're going to call the shots.
He and others wonder if deals like these will be a slippery slope. Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
An association of Alberta childcare workers spoke out today as some childcare centres began the first of what may be a series of rolling closures. They were shuttered in protest of the $10 a day childcare program. The Association of Alberta Childcare Entrepreneurs says the policy is creating an unsustainable strain, and it's calling for emergency funding to avoid what it calls a childcare crisis, saying it takes too long to receive government funds. Ontario is planning to refurbish Canada's oldest nuclear power plant. This comes as experts forecast a growing demand for electricity in the province. The Pickering facility will have to produce net zero carbon emissions. The work is expected to cost about $2 billion and take 11 years to complete. In Ottawa today, members of the House of Commons Heritage Committee asked the president of CBC Radio Canada about layoffs and executive bonuses. In December, CBC announced it would cut about 10% of its workforce. Marina von Stackelberg now with how Catherine Tate responded.
At a House of Commons committee, CBC President Catherine Tate was asked repeatedly why the Crown Corporation is cutting 800 jobs, but still planning to pay bonuses to executives, including to Tate herself.
The witness doesn't want to answer my question. It's very simple. Will she be given a bonus in 2020?
It's not my decision whether I get a bonus or not.
One of many testy exchanges as Tate answered questions about why CBC doled out $15 million in extra compensation last year to some 1,100 staff.
Would you consider asking the board of directors to reconsider the bonus structure at CBC?
I certainly will consider all scenarios. However, we have a program in place. First of all, these are not frivolous awards given at Christmas time. This is performance pay. And for an individual, let's say, who's making $80,000, a portion of that pay is held back. That's what performance pay is.
The questions come as CBC faces a $125 million projected budget shortfall this coming year.
She kind of came in hot and seemed to be quite defensive and was speaking over MPs, particularly the ones from the Conservative Party who themselves were coming in hot.
Ottawa provides the CBC $1.3 billion annually, though the union says the CBC remains one of the most underfunded public broadcasters in the world. The two sides are currently in contract negotiations.
It's really that issue of funding. If we are not competitive at Radio-Canada CBC with other organizations, we will lose key personnel. And that is across the board, unionized, non-unionized.
A spokesperson for CBC says so far it has laid off about 100 people, including 10 managers. Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News, Ottawa.
Jury deliberations are underway at the inquest into Canada's worst mass stabbing. 6 jurors heard 11 days of testimony about the September 2022 rampage on James Smith Cree Nation and nearby Weldon. Miles Sanderson killed 11 people and injured 17. He died in police custody a few days later. Jurors are now tasked with making recommendations to prevent similar tragedies in the future. A close-knit community in the Northwest Territories is struggling 1 week after a plane crash killed 4 passengers and 2 pilots. All 4 passengers were from Fort Smith. That's where Juanita Taylor is tonight, hearing from some of those most affected.
Each morning since the accident, the bells at St. John's Anglican Church ring for 6 minutes for the 6 lives lost.
He's touched so many souls,
including that of Howie Benwell.
The hardest part is trying to realize that it's for real.
The Transportation Safety Board's investigation is especially challenging because most of the plane was lost to fire. Gord Rothney was among the first to respond. He and another ranger used snowmobiles to get to the area, where they found the lone survivor.
Personally, there was like excitement. I thought, okay, this is going to be okay.
But that's not how it turned out. Rothney and his team determined there were no other survivors.
I just had this desire to go back out, you know, like there's something I may have missed, or even though it's not logical, there's still this incredible desire to do something, you know.
The people of Fort Smith have been rallying together, friends and family arriving from out of town. But freezing rain has caused travel issues for some, including the family of one of the pilots, 24-year-old Pazzolo Alba.
Can just be near on the place and light a candle. And also, I want to sleep in where my son slept before, you know, just to feel.
Freezing rain is also delaying efforts to remove the wreckage, but the cockpit voice recorder was found and is on its way to the TSB's laboratory in Ottawa. People here hope it helps answer their many questions about this tragedy. Juanita Taylor, CBC News, Fort Smith, Northwest Territories.
Canada's hopes for Olympic bronze and team figure skating have been dashed.
We feel we should be on the podium.
Why Russia is getting a medal despite a disqualification for doping. Plus,
there's no hole, it's not a bagel.
A marketing ploy that fails to please.
So how did it feel making this?
I don't know. It didn't feel right.
Why reinventing the bagel is getting a rough response. And an unlikely moment during an air duct cleaning.
There was money, a bunch of money stuffed in there.
We're back in 2. Science fiction is nudging closer to reality. Elon Musk says the first human patient with an implanted chip from his Neurolink company is recovering well. The device is meant to allow the user to control their phone or computer through thought alone. Initial users will be people who've lost the use of their limbs. There's new evidence today about how quickly hope can turn to frustration in the world of sports. Canadian Olympic team skaters waited 2 years for yesterday's positive news. Less than 24 hours later, hopes were dashed. Jamie Strachan shows how it all played out.
First place, Russian Olympic Committee.
Nearly 2 years after the Olympic team figure skating competition, the final results remain controversial, especially in Canada.
We feel we should be on the podium.
When a court ruling this week disqualified the results of Russian skater Kamila Valieva for doping, Canada thought it would push Russia off the podium and elevate fourth place Canada to bronze.
According to everything we've read in the rules, that is how we interpret, and that's how everybody, other sports, other countries interpret the rules, and that just doesn't seem to have been followed.
Just hours after the ruling, the International Skating Union moved the U.S. into the gold medal spot, Japan into silver, and Russia into the bronze. Canada remained fourth.
They basically vacated Valieva's points from the entire team competition, but then left everybody else's points in the same place.
Jackie Wong says when it comes to team events, the rules are murky.
And so what happened was Canada ended up being behind Russia by 1 point. If the points were redistributed in the way that you would in an individual event, Canada would end up with 1 point more than the Russian team.
Valieva's story dominated the 22 Olympics. The 15-year-old dazzled in the team competition. But after the emergence of a positive test from 6 weeks earlier, the IOC took the unprecedented step of not handing out medals. Three-time Olympic medalist Megan Duhamel feels for all the skaters involved.
It's been 2 years. It doesn't matter if they give them a medal ceremony now. You can't recreate that moment. And to me, that's the most heartbreaking.
Skate Canada is expected to appeal the decision. Russia says it will too. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
An attempt to change up a breakfast classic is not going as planned.
I don't want that. It's got no hole. I don't want it.
The lopsided debate over the definition of a bagel. And a little later. Canadian med students say they're facing consequences for condemning bombings on hospitals in Gaza.
It could, easily face a suspension.
The response from schools and why Jewish students and staff say they are also under threat. Plus, how patients are reacting to another paused expansion to medical assistance in dying.
Somebody is making a choice with my life.
The National breaks down the story shaping our world. Next. UPS is laying off 12,000 employees. That's roughly 2.5% of its global workforce. The shipping company blames a $9 billion decline in sales last year. This comes just months after it reached a new labor deal with its U.S. employees, ending a dispute that had threatened deliveries. UPS has not specified whether Canadian positions will be among the cuts. Well, a famous Montreal bagel shop has teamed up with a well-known cream cheese company to market a new take on a classic, but some aren't buying this bold reinvention. Sarah Levitt gets to the center of what could be a bagel debacle.
At Montreal's world-famous Saint-Viateur bagel shop, a debate is raging.
There's no hole, it's not a bagel.
It rocks. No hole, but hey, I'll take a dozen of these to go.
I don't want that. It's got no hole. I don't want it. It's not a bagel.
The big question, what is a bagel, prompted by this, an ad campaign launched by Philadelphia cream cheese called Bagel Holes. That's holes with a W. The company has paired up with bagel shops in the United States as well as Saint-Viateurs to create signature so-called bagels without holes that look more like a Danish or Princess Leia's hair. The idea is to have more surface space to smear on cream cheese.
First impressions, customers said that's not a bagel. So we'll see.
So how did it feel making this?
I don't know. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. It feel like, because over here we only make bagels, so we don't make anything else. And this was like something else.
This Jewish food historian has one word for the campaign.
Unholy?
But kidding aside, bagels and their holes are part of the fabric of Jewish life around the world. Holes allow for more even cooking. Bagels were also often handled using long sticks or string through the holes.
Bagels in Jewish food culture have become a symbolic food as well, where there's no beginning and no end. A hole is, I think, integral to the DNA of a bagel. It's not a bagel if it doesn't have a hole.
Philadelphia cream cheese says its campaign is a response to fan requests, though not everyone is a fan, even when the alleged bagels are on the house. They're on offer for the next 2 weeks only, so get them while they're hot, or If you're a bagel purist, maybe not. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Now, The National goes deeper into the stories shaping our world. People afraid to speak out speak to us about the chill on campus over taking a stand on the war in the Middle East.
I could, easily face suspension.
But first, trapped in mental torment, her right to die suddenly delayed.
Like I'm running a marathon and somebody keeps moving the finish line.
They're competent Canadians who can make a decision themselves.
This is The Breakdown. The government has paused expanding medical assistance in dying to cover people whose sole reason is their mental health. Christine Birak breaks down the impact.
For some Canadians, the decision is isolating and an unjust betrayal.
Somebody is making a choice with my life, whether or not they know it.
Unlike almost all other severely ill patients who can request medical assistance in dying or MAID, health officials announced Canadians suffering from debilitating mental illness legally still cannot.
Let me be very clear. We need more time.
It's an unthinkable scenario for most, but what's next for Canadians who might have been waiting for the option to die?
People are tired of treatment and want an end to this suffering.
Right now, even Canadian doctors are divided.
I wouldn't say that I have advice. I would hope that they could keep trying. And, I think that there are many interventions.
If a person has been under treatment for 30 years and is still sick, to me, that's pretty self-evident that their condition is not treatable.
It's incredibly painful to live without connections.
44-year-old Agatha Gowron lives in Regina. She suffered from depression since the age of 13, along with anorexia and bulimia. No treatment has meaningfully worked. All she wants now is compassion and acceptance.
I really wish that people would understand that some individuals are okay with not wanting to be helped and don't expect it, but would like to have control over their life and how they leave or what they leave behind.
Gowron says she doesn't want to take her own life. She wouldn't want someone to find her and feel guilty about what they did or didn't do. She'd hoped MAID could offer a more dignified ending.
I feel honestly like I'm running a marathon and somebody keeps moving the finish line.
It has been a long road. Currently, medical assistance in dying has 2 tracks. First legalized in 2016 with safeguards, Track 1 refers to a request for MAID by a person whose death is reasonably foreseeable. In 2021, MAID expanded to include Track 2, requests made by a person whose natural death is not reasonably foreseeable, but are suffering from grievous and irremediable conditions. Additional safeguards include a minimum 90-day assessment period, expert consultation, at least 2 medical assessments, and information is offered on available ways to alleviate suffering. Patients suffering from mental illness alone are not allowed on either track.
The vulnerable are very much underrepresented.
Retired psychiatrist Derek Smith says this is about politics, not patients.
This idea that we're protecting people is spurious. These people do not need protection. They are competent Canadians who can make a decision themselves.
The number of reported MAID deaths in Canada has seen a steady increase, going from just over 1,000 in 2016 to over 13,000 in 2022. Access to MAID for individuals whose deaths were not reasonably foreseeable beginning in 2021 accounted for less than 3.5% of patients.
We don't have a special category for stroke victims or kidney disease or cancer or anything like that. We have a special group for mental illness. And that, to me, is evidence of the ongoing stigma that psychiatric patients face over their entire life.
I'm not ideologically opposed to MAID for mental disorders.
Dr. Madeline Lee is a MAID assessor and provider. She feels the delay is a chance to develop more detailed criteria for assessing patients and why they want MAID.
The challenge is that the criteria in the legislation actually lack specificity, and they are open to interpretation by MAID practitioners.
Gowron says it's difficult for most people to understand her suffering over the past decades, but she knows she wants it to end.
I know that my condition can't be cured, and I've come to terms with that. I don't want to be helped anymore. I don't want to become somebody's pet project or somebody's experiment trying to fix me.
Outside of court challenges or traveling to a country where MAID for mental health is legal, Gowron feels condemned to a life she can hardly bear for years to come.
The woman seeking a medically assisted death says the government's delay only prolongs her anguish. You saw that in Christine Birak's story. Government sources say no expansion of MAID will happen before 2025. The war in Gaza is heightening tension and causing fear in Canadian universities.
I'm afraid for my physical safety. I'm afraid for the students who are also afraid.
The pressures being placed on supporters of both sides. Medical students and faculty terrified to speak their minds on the war in the Middle East.
I'm afraid for my physical safety.
Some have been warned the consequences are real.
I have been told that there is influence by donors.
And it doesn't matter where their sympathies lie. Sophie Langlois is a veteran Radio-Canada reporter. As she approached people to take part in the story, she says she saw fear like she rarely has before.
I'm afraid of going there in class.
Le premier collègue qui a pris la parole m'a traité d'antisémite.
There have been attempts to expel people from their educational programs.
This medical student at McGill University agreed to speak to us only if we protected her identity. She says she's been told by doctors in her program that she could suffer severe consequences if she condemns, for example, the bombing of hospitals in Gaza or the killing of healthcare workers by Israeli forces.
I could, easily face a suspension if I were to speak out publicly, because I have been told that there is influence by donors when it comes to our programming.
And she's not alone. We've talked to about 10 students, residents, and doctors in a number of programs and universities in Quebec and Ontario. Many told us they have been warned they could be suspended or expelled if they criticize Israel's attacks on Gaza. They feel they are victims of prejudice because for them, advocating for access to health care is a duty of their Hippocratic oath.
It's incumbent on us. I don't know how we can talk about caring for people and treating them if they're going to be bombed in the very places where they're seeking care. And if we're not willing to preserve the sanctity, the safety of places of healthcare in one part of the world, what goes to say that any of us is safe anywhere?
I asked the student, why is it so important for her to talk openly about Gaza?
I don't think civilians should be killed and that Palestinians are human beings. And it's very scary to see how someone who looks like people that I care about is so dehumanized.
Threats of suspensions in the faculties of medicine are being taken seriously. Sources tell us at least 5 medical students have been suspended. And experienced doctors have suffered reprisals for criticizing the bombing of hospitals in Gaza. Dr. Yipen Jay, a resident at the University of Ottawa, was suspended for supporting the Palestinian cause on social media, calling Israel's actions apartheid and settler colonialism. He has since been reinstated, but these sanctions had a huge impact.
Il y a une censure qui est là, puis il y a aussi juste des silences, donc des autocensures aussi.
This pediatrician teaches at McGill University. He's one of the few physicians in Canada who openly criticizes Israel's attacks on Gaza. He's also critical of the intimidation he's observed in the medical establishment.
On vit dans un climat où n'importe quel propos qui vise à humaniser le peuple palestinien subit des représailles.
Dr. Shaheen Hussein says a few medical students have reached him to say they've been told by faculty members that if they're critical of Israel on their social media, they might not get their first choice of residency.
Ils ont peur d'avoir une carrière professionnelle qui va être amputée.
CBC News has obtained screenshots from this private Facebook group called Canadian Jewish Physicians. They talk about sharing the names of 271 students who signed the petition calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. One doctor writes, "Has anyone created a document of their names that can be shared with program directors as CARM's file reviews begin?" A few doctors request the list. The objective seems to be to influence the selection process of residents. In another screenshot, a program director at the University of Ottawa writes, "Can I have the list of names who signed?" The Faculty of Medicine of the university reacted by stating, "We promptly constituted a new and independent selection committee, and the selection process for the dermatology program was restarted." The program director immediately and voluntarily recused herself from the selection process. She has not been suspended.
Si c'est vrai que ce regroupement-là puisse avoir un impact sur les carrières professionnelles de ces étudiants, c'est grave. C'est très grave.
The Canadian Association of Medical Faculties has responded to these allegations. They say any attempts to intimidate or harass students will not be tolerated and will be the subject of an inquiry. Tensions on campuses are experienced differently by Jewish students and professors who feel targeted by hateful remarks and posters. The increase of anti-Semitic attacks on synagogues and Jewish schools in particular amplifies the insecurity. This professor at Concordia University asked that we protect her identity because she fears for her job.
It's difficult to find out that your colleagues support Hamas.
We spoke to a few Jewish students in Montreal who wouldn't agree to speak on camera, even anonymously. They are terrified of being recognized and harassed. This professor was horrified to find out that some of her students celebrated the October 7th massacres by Hamas. She had a hard time going back to school, and it's still difficult.
I'm afraid of reprisals. I'm afraid of being doxxed. I'm afraid for my physical safety. I'm afraid for the students who are also afraid. I'm afraid of being boycotted. Why should I not be able to walk from the front door to my office without having to hear a call for my death?
The professor believes her Jewish identity puts her in danger.
This isn't simply criticism of the Israeli state. It has evolved into an assault on Jews, and there's no separating them anymore. And it's very hard to find out that people you would have worked with are taking that position.
The most difficult thing for her is not knowing who to trust anymore. Colleagues who used to be allies are now anti-Israel and no longer talk to her.
I'm not happy about this war. I want to be clear, I'm not in favor of it. I have great compassion for what's happening in Gaza, but me and all the people here are also not responsible for it, but we're being held responsible. And we're being held responsible in these sorts of ways, through boycotting, through harassment.
The professor says her university has done little to nothing to make her feel safer, and she's not the only one. Class actions have been launched against 6 universities, including Concordia. Groups of Jewish students and teachers say these institutions are not doing enough to protect them against anti-Semitism on campus. We asked McGill and Concordia universities to respond to our report. They had no comment.
Sophie, this conversation is powerful. It's also very sad. Just watching it, I'm sure there are people out there who say that they could litigate the content of the conversation about the war, but that's not really the point here. This is about the climate on campus, this fear of saying absolutely anything. Can you tell us more about it?
Adrienne, I've rarely seen this level of anxiety and animosity on Montreal campuses. It's really surprising to see how students and professors are really scared to just talk about Israel and Gaza. I've tried for 2 months to convince people to talk to me on camera, people that are telling me disturbing stories of intimidation. Students tell me they're being harassed just because they're Jewish. They're terrified that things will get worse if they talk, even anonymously. On the other hand, I've had med students literally hanging up on me when I asked them if they were willing to talk on record, because they're convinced that if they talk publicly on Gaza, if they criticize Israel's attacks, the consequence will be immediate and terrible.
And so these are not hypothetical threats. You're talking about reprisals that are actually happening.
Yes, you know, I know of at least 5 medical students in Ontario that have been suspended. One is even facing being expelled. I also know doctors who are facing right now complaints of anti-Semitism at Le Collège des Médecins and in Ontario also. So yes, med students and residents are very worried about their future if they talk or tweet about Gaza.
Sophie Langlois, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Ukrainian men are sneaking out of their own country, breaking the law to avoid being drafted into the war. Briar Stewart got rare access to Ukraine's border with Moldova. Here's a peek at the story she's working on.
We were invited along a border patrol. We left the remote rural village and headed into the pitch black.
So Ukraine border.
Where is it exactly from
Where? Ukraine border.
Right. On one January night, this is what the cameras saw. What turned out to be 5 Ukrainian men and 1 Moldovan. Sergei and Vladimir also crossed last month. Like others, they decided to leave Ukraine before they could get swept up into a war that they don't want to fight in.
Every man need to have a choice, you know.
Do you feel guilty at all for leaving?
The full story is coming your way tomorrow on The Breakdown. And in a couple minutes, hidden treasure found in the air ducts of a Winnipeg home.
So we found a pile of cash inside the return ducts.
The story behind the surprise discovery in our moment. You are looking at 3 air duct cleaners holding $5 grand in cash while on the job in Winnipeg, but that money isn't theirs, and it comes with a surprise backstory. So the bills date back to 1974. It's believed they were stashed by a previous owner, then apparently left behind. Tonight, the unexpected discovery is our moment.
So we found a pile of cash inside the return ducts. Honestly, I thought it was fake money until we pulled it out. It was just a regular day at work. One of our technicians, Arthur, just opened up one of the return vents and we found a can.
But today we found something we've never seen before.
I'm not sure. I think it's like chocolate milk or something. Apparently, like people that grew up in that era, like they haven't seen that can in a while. So they thought it was cool. There was money, a bunch of money stuffed in there.
There's like a wallet and a bunch of like cash from 1974.
It wasn't even dusty. Like we opened it up and there were still like RBC like wraps. And it was like, it looked fresh. We freaked out and the owner obviously freaked out. She called the bank right away and asked what she could do with it. We actually helped the owner like count all the cash. We put the ones on one side, the 2s, the 50s, the 100s, the 20s. So yeah, we need to be very efficient. Usually we find dust, rats, and just a bunch of nasty things you see in there. No treasures. We rarely see that.
Okay, this is great. So I know you want to do the math. We did too. $5,000 in 1974 is the equivalent of about $30,000 now. The current owner says she's going to go on a trip. I hope those guys got a tip. Thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to the Nationals YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.